is Ms. Tanda Gadwal, Senior Advisor of Nepal. So this is space tourism. So in this virtual session, we will discuss about the Swiss space project SST-6 with its 2 suborbital and 1 orbital mission. So in this virtual session, we have a VVIP speaker, Space Ambassador and astronaut Sharon HAGLE, and our mission commander Boris Order, and our backup mission commander Kailash Ranier sir. So in this virtual session is completely for all the people who are interested for become astronaut. So we are just trying to sharing such kind of platform virtually.
Okay, thank you very much, Shanta. So now I would like to give the chance to Sharon to be the first speaker, since she is our VIP today. I would like you to speak about your journey to space. You became an astronaut. You flew above Kármán line. You were living this zero-G, this overview effect, and you really felt this moment of a unique time when you are the one who is above Kármán line. What can you tell us about your experience, Sharon, please?
Well, the overview effect is real. And once you are up in space and zero gravity and looking back at the planet, it takes your breath away. You see how fragile our planet is and how thin the atmosphere is. And it changes you. You have a responsibility to come back to Earth and make it better. We have an upcoming launch with Blue Origin where we're taking kids. We've selected this national competition where they enter a drawing, and then they're going to become space reporters, and they're going to be reporting on our next launch, getting the full Kennedy Space Center experience. I did want to shout out to Shanta. I am a huge supporter there in Nepal with the Himalaya Youth Foundation. I've been involved with that for over 20 years. And again, it's bringing the space stories and getting young kids in elementary schools excited about living off planet and preparing them. And that's what Space Kids is all about. When I also found out that you can have the overview effect here on Earth, because as I was preparing to fly out to Blue Origin in Van Horn, Texas, I was walking my dog, and it was the day before we were supposed to leave for training. And all of a sudden, I could hear the wind. We live on a lake, and I could hear the lake. And it just dawned on me that, you know, space is an experience, but it's also, it's not a guarantee. And you have to deal with this and prepare for your family and your friends that you might not come back. And it just took my breath away just thinking about that possibility. But once you get up there, it's a trip of a lifetime. It is the most emotional and spiritual journey that you will ever take.
That's what we are also looking for with the space project SST-6, Sharon. And we understood that the overview effect that all astronauts are speaking about is a reality. You went up there, you saw it, and you are coming back and you are telling us the same. So this is really something I think you cannot really simulate it. You need to see it from your own eyes. You need to live it from your full body. It's not like zero-G flight, because, you know, to be floating zero gravity, you don't need to go to space to do it. I had the chance to do it inside a Niushin 76, floating 10 parabolas of 28 seconds. It's the same like you can get in space. But the overview effect, it is a major thing you are paying for normally. You want to go to space to get this view of the planet, this view of the thin atmosphere, and to understand how fragile it is and how small we are compared to the planet. And one more question for you, Sharon. During this zero-G flight of, let's say, 3-4 minutes, I think you were floating without gravity. Did you or any of the crew members get some kind of space sickness? Did you feel not well?
Not at all. I think we were a little overtrained for this particular mission. Mark and I have trained at NASTAR in Philadelphia with the NASA astronauts. we've done 3 or 4 zero gravity experience. And then we went to Star City, Russia, and we trained with the Russian cosmonauts. So no, we were prepared. However, if you do not have zero gravity training, we had one member of the crew who had not, and it is, when we got back to Earth, he said, hey guys, I need a minute. And I think that's very important. When we are in space at zero gravity, and you mentioned zero gravity flights, which are like 30-second parabolical experience, I kept looking at my monitor because it seemed like I was in space for a long, long time, because to get 5 minutes is a huge difference on how you can prepare yourself to look back on the planet. I think the biggest surprise to all of us is how dark space is. It is pitch black. It's blacker than anything I've seen on Earth. And that was a surprise to all of us.
So basically, when you are watching through the window of your capsule, you are watching two things. First, the planet Earth, and second, the black of the universe. And after this moment of watching these amazing things, do you feel inside your body some changes during these 3-4 minutes of weightlessness? Do you feel your face is getting a little bit bigger? Do you feel your heartbeat is increasing? Do you have some real feelings that are changing your body?
I didn't notice that at all. You know, Mark and my husband, Mark, we became the first married couple to be launched into space on a commercial vehicle. We jokingly say we were the first legal kiss in space. But no, I didn't experience anything like that. On our particular flight, we had, they stopped the countdown. I think it was a T-9 minutes. And we had a hold at 46 minutes while we were on the launch pad. So that gave us a little bit of time to think about it. My biggest fear of going to space was actually climbing up on the tower. And I was the first person, because I was female, and I had a camera right in front of my face. And all I could think about was, please don't trip on national TV.
Okay, I want to give possibility to one of our guests to speak. Klaus, do you have any questions to Sharon, for example?
Not a question, but so like Sharon said, that one of the crew members have no zero gravity education. It is very important to make this. So the decision was right to book the flight next year in France to make this zero gravity activation training and so on. So there are 15 parabol flights. So I think it is very important, and thank you for your experience. And so I'm sure that that was the right decision to book this flight. Thank you.
Scott, would you like to ask some questions to Sharon? And Sharon, for information, Scott is one of our mission specialists and is submarine pilot.
Yeah, I guess one question is that the prepping for the space mission, how much time did you have from start to finish of that?
Well, I think Blue normally brings you out 3 days prior to launch. Because our launch, they used that nasty S word, we were scrubbed and delayed for 2 days due to high winds. I think it got 60-mile-an-hour winds. I do know that they changed some of the programs. I had a few friends that were on Crew 8 that was just launched last week or 10 days ago. And the program has shifted, but I won't know that until I fly out there in the next few, whatever. I can't, you know, I'm under an NDA. I can't really tell you when my next launch is, but it's soon.
Okay, there is also one important point we were discussing before this webinar, Sharon, that can interest also the audience. It's connected with the cost of such kind of flight. And we both know that if you want to fly with Blue Origin, you need to sign an NDA. It's a non-disclosure agreement, meaning that you are not authorized to speak about how much you paid to get your ticket to go to space. What we know as per open sources is that for the first seat, one guy, he paid 28 millions to be the first to fly with Blue Origin, but he did not fly himself finally. Ticket was given to someone else. But we also heard something like one of the guy who was flying with Blue Origin, he paid around $1 million. But it's not official. It's just something you can find if you look on Google to find some information. So it is definitely not a small price, meaning that if you want to pay for your ticket, you need either to work a lot, to be very rich, to have a family who can afford it for you, or if you need to have a lot of luck, let's say like this. I'm giving the example of Jared Isaacman, who was supposed to lift off today with Polaris Dawn mission. He's the one who is billionaire, he can afford his flight, but he's taking with him 3 persons who are not millionaire or billionaire. So that's what I'm always telling when I'm discussing with people, is that you can go to space without having to be rich or to pay your tickets. If you are lucky enough to know the right person or to be at the right time or to be at the right place or even to win at a Euro Million, then you may get your ticket, let's say, free of charge. This is very important point. We have one more guest, Mr. Sidratul. Can you hear us, Mr. Sidratul? Do you have some questions? Just introduce yourself, where you are watching from, and if you have a question to Sharon, please. Mr. Muntaha, you need
Hello?
to yes, we hear you.
Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, you
Yes.
can.
So
You
first
can
of
speak.
all, Assalamu alaikum. I'm from Bangladesh and I'm studying in Department of Economics in Dhaka International University, which is located in Chhatarpur, Badda. So, sir, my question is to you is, what should be my next major step to becoming an astronaut in terms of my country, where no one has ever made this type of history in our past?
Boris, can you help me with the question?
Yes, the question was not very clear, but I think I understood what should be your next step in order to become an astronaut living from Bangladesh, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You get it.
That's an interesting question. My husband and I got started with our quest to fly into space with Richard Branson on Virgin Galactic, and that was 20 years ago. I think it's really making relationships with these different companies. And by the way, Boris, I'm under an NDA with all the space companies, including SpaceX, Blue, Virgin, NASA, Axiom, you name it. You always want to make sure you have a backup plan at some point. But no, it all came, we are so grateful that we had the opportunity to enter into the space industry at the very beginning. And it was all through relationships. Getting social media is a great place to start. I was told that when I did media training, that look for different companies that you can send messages, private messages to, and just start introducing yourself and following. And if they write articles, respond on the articles, because today it's all about relationships.
Yeah, it's very interesting what Sharon is telling, because
Answer, honorable.
I was telling that it's very interesting what Sharon was telling, because it's correct. It's all about the relationship and the social media connection. Because if you stay in Bangladesh alone in your city and you are not trying to communicate outside Bangladesh, you will not get a lot of chances to fly to space one day. You need to show yourself. You need to create something to attract attention, to be potentially the guy we want to speak with. You need to show interest. You need to show your passion. And that's what we are doing with the space project SST-6. Initially, I wanted to go to space for myself, but I understood that it is almost impossible if you are alone. So what I did, I got the best people around me who got the same passion, the same motivation, and the same interest of flying to space. And now we are working all together. We are 12 people working on the same goal, which is to launch a space mission, a private space mission, but none of us is a billionaire, meaning that we need to find a way to get our tickets paid either by, I will give an example, European Space Agency, or it can be via a billionaire, or it can be via a company like Rolex, Omega, you know, this big watches company who were helping Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin to walk on the moon, let's say like this. Why they would not help us? I mean, we need to make such a noise, positive noise, and to show by our experience, our training, our creativity, that we are the one who should have this possibility and this chance. And I suggest you from Bangladesh to do the same. Why not to create a team? You can call it a Bangladesh space team to get the best people around you. It can be pilots, engineers, students, rich people, and entrepreneur, whoever is motivated to go to space with you can do the same, and you launch everything from the beginning. You can copy paste what Swiss Space Tourism is doing, or you can create your own ideas and your own brand. That's what I would suggest you.
Thank you so much for your answer and suggestion. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Sharon.
I will tell you, Boris, that the more people that are being launched, and here in Orlando, Florida, where I reside, launches are going up every week, multiple launches. And the more people that are being launched and they receive data, I think it'll be made, I think the public will be able to launch sooner than what they anticipated originally. Another thing I wanted to mention is that once you do launch and you get that feeling of the engines igniting and your seat rumbling and feeling those G-forces, that's imprinted on you. And every time you're around a launch, whether it's in person or watching it through virtual streaming, there's triggers that will set you off. And you're right back there in that capsule. And you get so emotional. And that's even to date. And Mark and I have been doing this for, it was March 31st, 2022. And that emotion is still imprinted on you.
This I can imagine. I had myself the chance one time to fly a Sukhoi 27. It's a Russian military aircraft. And I can tell you that the same moment when you have the ignition of the rocket and you start to launch, it's when you are on the runway and the captain, the pilot in command, is putting full throttle and you feel that you are moving forward. Then you get this trigger shot. And this is something you don't even need to film because it will be printed in your head forever. And this is really something that I can imagine in space. You are getting the same feeling. Okay, I see Shanta. Shanta, would you like to ask some questions to Sharon also?
Yeah, I have a one question. What are the main challenges astronauts face for long mission? Because I was quite curious and I'm interested to want to become an astronaut. And I really want to know what are the main challenges.
Okay, I heard a little bit of that. Can you help me, Boris?
Yes, Shanta, so she's from Nepal now. She's dreaming of becoming an astronaut. And I also, you have big accent, Shanta. It's not always easy to understand, but I think that she wants to get information on what she should do in order to get a chance to become an astronaut or let's say to fly to space, because I don't think that in Nepal you have space agency. So you should be more the candidate to fly to space as a space traveler, let's say like this.
Sure.
Yes, I think what's happening now worldwide is there's all kinds of spaceports popping up across the country. And I think, again, reaching out to whoever is closest to you and start building those relationships, because all this data that they're gathering from people that have been out to space, they're compiling to make it easier for the future astronauts, space explorers, to be more comfortable. I know when we got back to the astronaut training facility, we were there for about 2.5 hours as they went over step by step everything that happened on that flight, from the time of our training, how our experience was in the model capsule, how our suits fit, how our seats fit. I mean, your seats are measured for your body particularly. So one of the things they tell you when you're getting ready to get back in your seat is make sure that you check your seat number and that's your seat, because if you get in the wrong seat, it's going to be like that Princess and the Pea. It's going to be very uncomfortable when you start taking on 5 and 6 Gs. But gathering this information is going to make it easier for future space travelers to engage for the benefit of Earth.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. So, for the beginning phase, I mean, theoretical, some of the course or some of the ideas we can learn from internet, but for space travel, haven't any, I mean, book or basic education. In Nepal, we haven't any basic information, theoretically even. Haven't any space agency, so it's quite extra for me and for everyone who are here in Nepal. But many more people are learning from virtually, and they are just going foreign country for learning that kind of course. So what are the skill set is needed for become an astronaut, and what kind of skill set we need to learn for the beginning phase?
Well,
Sharon, if you want, I will reply to this one as you want.
Sure.
Well, I think the changes that are happening today is it's a whole different ballgame. It's people like you and me that are having the opportunity to go into space. And it's not a lifetime career as the NASA astronauts do, because even with their database of all the astronauts that they train, it's a very few number of people that actually get assigned to a mission. So by the private space companies now engaging in starting to develop space stations, more launches, both suborbital, orbital. There's programs to the moon. Blue Origin just announced their orbital reef. They just partnered with the Hilton hotels so that they can have rooms up on the reef. So things are changing, and I think that's the exciting part of it. And Boris, you may have something to add to that.
Yes, because I think that I should give the right direction to Shanta where to go. Because of course you can get higher education and become engineer, or to become an airline pilot, a scientist, to work as a doctor. It will give you an access, let's say like this, by your knowledge and your abilities. But to be realistic, I think that you should do like we are doing, and to aim at a flight that is, let's say, a space tourism flight or space travelers flight. You need to find a way that your ticket will be taken in charge by someone, some company, some organization. I'm giving you an example. Virgin Galactic, he gives a chance to a woman and her daughter coming from Caribbean to fly without that they had to pay anything. So they flew below Garmin line, unluckily, but they were going to space, let's say like this, and they did not pay for this ticket. Somehow you need to be open and to watch what is happening around. What is happening around? Okay, we have Blue Origin, we have Axiom, we have China that is now constructing a new rocket ZK6, which will be doing the same as a new Shepard of Blue Origin, but with 7 seats. So China will be the next country who will send space tourists to space. Why not to start to look for informations and contacts, because maybe you will have opportunities either to be one of the first one when the price will be, let's say, affordable, or to work for them. You should also imagine the solutions that you will leave Nepal and work in the space industry. And for example, now with the flight of Polaris down, you have 2 employees of SpaceX who will fly to space. They are employees, they are working in the space environment. myself, for example, I was working in business aviation also, and I got the chance to fly in a business jet aircraft. It's not everybody who is flying business jet aircraft, but several times, because I was working in this business, I had this possibility to fly inside those aircraft. So the idea is either to make it touristic and you need to get the money by yourself, make a business, whatever, try to get the funds, or get sponsor, partner who will be ready to help you, because whom from Nepal went to space? If nobody went to space from Nepal, you will be the first one. So you need to attract attention. And as I said, media is very important. You need to connect with press, with media. They love to have a reportage and interviews about passionate people who have a chance, because you need really to have a chance. And I wanted now just to say to Sharon one more thing, because Sharon, you said that you were having NDA with almost every company, Virgin Galactic, Axiom, whoever. We have also planned this mission. This is called space. I think that it's a mission to fly with Axiom. The price is a possibility. About you, Sharon, do you have a chance to fly one more time, but an orbital flight this time?
We're working on it.
Okay, let's say that the question is financial. I understand it like this.
Yes, you know, I jokingly say if there's a Santa, I'd like to go to the ISS. But like you said, there are companies that are working with people around the world. And one that we forgot to mention was Space for Humanity. You can actually apply, go online and get their application, apply. I think they get thousands of people around the world, but there is a board that selects. And I think they try and have one astronaut at least on, I know they've done Virgin and I know they've done Blue.
Okay, who wants to ask a question to Sharon? I see that we have some other people. I see Klaus. Klaus, please.
Yes, Sharon. I have a question about the time. So I said in my introduction that this space project is more than a marathon, not a sprint. So how much time it takes from your interest, you reporting your interest or your decision to fly into the space until you launch into the space?
That's a very good question. You know, dreams don't come true overnight. And you have to be patient if you get into the space game. As I mentioned, we signed up with Richard Branson back in 2007. We were one of the early founders. We became very good friends with Richard and his wife and family. And as you well know, every launch can get scrubbed or delayed even when you get notification. I know on our first launch, we were supposed to launch in February, and I think we were postponed several times before it actually happened. So it's very fluid timeline, and you just have to be patient. Another example that we had once we got back to Earth, and I wanted to make sure I told you guys about this because it's very important on your mission, on your flight. But once we came back to Earth and we were at the recovery site and the team came out, pay attention to Blue Origin flights because they cannot open the hatch until we give them the thumbs up. They made that correction after Jeff and his brother Mark came back. And the reason for it is it is such an emotional journey that you need time to compose yourself before you step out to the media frenzy. And so until we give the thumbs up, nobody can undo the hatch.
Was a question to Sharon. Okay, so if it's no question for the moment, I will just present for the audience and the next people who will be able to watch this recording later on, the space project SST-6. And Sharon, like this, you will be also completely brief about what we are doing. So it's called SST-6 for Swiss Space Travelers-6 because 6 people on board. And we have also SST-3 because 3 persons on board, and this is the orbital flight. So SST-6 has 2 missions, mission suborbital 1, and let me show you. It's this one, mission suborbital 1, and we have mission suborbital 2. Actually, those missions are backup of each others. I'm the one who will be the mission commander for the first or the second mission. And once my flight will be completed, I will give over to Klaus the command of the next mission, meaning that we will both fly one time as commander. I don't want Klaus to be backup commander and only to wait for me to fly 2 times. It's not correct. I will fly once, he will fly once, but I want to be the first because I launched this project. We are supposed to fly with Blue Origin New Shepard. For that, I got NDA, meaning that as soon as we have the amount of money that will pay the full capsule for all the crew 1 or crew 2, then we are able to plan a launch. I'm expecting between 6 months and 1 year, depending on how many people are already on the waiting list. The other option is via Axiom. Okay, it's much more expensive, but we are 3. We have Klaus, we have Thomas Alex McHall. It's an American pilot of a Black Hawk helicopter and Airbus 320 airline pilot. So he has a lot of knowledge as an aviator also, and myself as the third one. And when you fly Axiom, you know that you have a professional astronaut with you who can be chosen by Axiom. There are now 3. I think that Tim Peake will be the next one to command one of the Axiom flights. And Tim Peake was working for European Space Agency. What we are doing actually, we are working and training by ourselves. Klaus said that soon he will make his own first zero-G flight with Nove Space in France. And we have also one more crew member, Tanya Lehmann. She's a specialist in zero gravity. She made more than 100 parabolas already. She's engineer. Myself, I flew in Russia, in Star City. You have been in Star City. You know what it is. It's an amazing place when you love space and cosmonauts, because there you call them cosmonauts. And we are probably also making a flight together with Klaus in April 2025, because we need to gather the crew members to get closer and closer to each other. And more training we will make together, better the team spirit will be present and will push us even stronger to succeed to our goal. We have planned to make this flight before end of 2025. Honestly speaking, I think it will not be enough. I think, like you said, you need to be patient. Claude Nicollier, the Swiss astronaut, being astronaut, was waiting 15 years before to go to space. 15 years. So we can wait more than 2 years if we are not astronauts. So I think it will be extended later on. But I said to the crew that we will discuss this situation. Now we are communicating with media, with press, in order to get more connections and more views from the people who could be interested in our project. We got sponsors. I will give a chance to Klaus to present 2 of them, because Klaus is the one who got 2 of our sponsors. I got the chance to get Panos from Greece. He's a graphic designer, and he's the guy who is making all our graphic design. For example, it's difficult to show, but okay. Some pictures of all the crew members like this, all our stickers, a mission patch. He was making everything on a digital way, and he's so much motivated. You know, he's not even asking for money. That's what is important also, because we have some passionate people who are joining us just really for the pleasure to be inside and to learn from what we are doing. And you know, we have also Alyssa Carson. She's very famous in USA because she wants to go to Mars. As she's telling, she wants to be the first. Unfortunately, she's not with us today. Probably she's working in the university. It's not always easy to get all crew members at the same time, but she's following us and definitely joining our webinar normally. This is the point to present briefly our space project. We have also a video that was made by a Haman. Haman is an Indian guy who is specialist in this digital video creation, and he's now working on a new digital video that will be presented soon also via all our social media. Like this, we are getting more and more known, let's say like this, for our project. Doesn't mean that we will find the sponsors, the correct one, but if you are not pushing the limits, you will never reach them. That's what I wanted to say. Klaus, if you want to explain about your sponsors, what we got so far, please.
Yes, Boris, I give you right. We need sponsor partners as much as we can, small sponsor partners, big sponsor partners. So I have find two of them. You see on the right side, this is Austrian Aeronautical Fashion. It is a fashion group. It makes clothes in Austrian Air Force style. In my former time, I was an Austrian Air Force pilot, so I have a very good connection to this. I was 14 years helicopter pilot in the Austrian Army and flight instructor, and now I'm flying as a rescue pilot 24 years in the below sign, the yellow sign. This is the biggest rescue company. We have 32 helicopters with 75 pilots and over 700 doctors and paramedics. And the next sponsor, and the Aeronautical Fashion, he made us all our badges. We have a production line for badges and so on, so it is very important to get this. It costs a lot of money, badges for 12 crew members and some gifts for sponsor partners and so on. And so the next sponsor partner is Jacques Clement. I don't know, Sharon, if you know, in US, Jacques Clement is a watch manufacturer, very famous in Europe, and very famous in my country, in Austria, and much more famous in my district because he's not so far away, 30 kilometers. And so I wrote to the CEO, Mr. Alois Riedel. He built this company 50 years ago to support our project, and he gives me the watch. And he said, Klaus, bring the watch into the space. And I'm working really strong and very hard for much more media presence because it is a marathon. You need time to get more attention. The followers are increasing on Facebook and Instagram. So I have approximately 5,200 followers. So this is increasing. So you have you reach the people with our story, with our adventure. And I try to make the story stronger and stronger. Why? If the story is strong enough, you get the attention of the big sponsor partners because they can use it for commercial, and that is the ticket to the space. And so it is my idea, and you wouldn't believe, today I finished my first book. It is a photo book with a little bit written about my hometown Klagenfurt, a wonderful pictionary with 275 wonderful pictures of this Mediterranean area of my hometown with the, the small streets and we are on a wonderful lake. And so I have now today the contact to the press company. The print company, they want to print my book. And in this book, I include also very carefully the sponsor partners, And so another way to get more attention, and my sponsor partner, they see I work very hard for the sponsor partners, take care of the sponsor partners. And I think the chances not so far that they are increasing the sponsoring from time to time. And so, yeah, I'm working for that. And
thank you, Klaus, very much. And Joe, so now back to Sharon. I understood that you are working on a special project for you and probably for your husband to make an orbital flight. This is something we will follow up with huge eyes and big attention, because it's kind of people like you who are attracting the world attention on space tourists, space travelers, what is possible and what we can reach. Now I'm waiting since like many people, more than 2 weeks, every day the launch of Polaris Dawn, because it will be such amazing view of the space walk that they are planning to do, which will be the first private space walk in history. And this will really attract and motivate the people to see and to talk about space, meaning that our project will attract also the attention of those people. And I would like to ask also, we have still some people who did not ask anything to Sharon. If they have some questions, they can either write it on the chat or they can just put their mic on and they will be welcome. From my side, I have no question. I give the word to Shanta if you want to add something.
Yeah, I have one more question. How does the SST-6 project contribute to sustainable space exploration?
By flying with oxygen liquid and hydrogen. It's giving water vapor like this. We are not making too much space pollution. Let's say like this.
Yeah, and what physical and mental skills are needed? Like we need to be mentally prepared, we need to be physically active and prepared maybe. So what kind of training is necessary for the beginning phase? We need to do like gym or
I can give you my opinion, and after Sharon, she will explain what she did for her flight. But for me, I'm making fitness every week. I'm training myself physically. I'm lifting some weights. I'm walking. I'm running. I'm taking care because I know it's important that your heart and your blood pressure are good. If you have a too high blood pressure, it can be a no-go to space. If your heart is weak and you be sure you will not fly to space. And I saw when I was making my zero-G flight in Star City, one German guy who was making the medical checkup just before the flight, and the doctor, they were shocked because he had such high blood pressure that they said, no way, you are not going to make zero-G flight with such high blood pressure. And this guy, he knew he had blood pressure, but he tried. He said, okay, maybe they will say nothing, but no, they were very strict with all what is connected with medical, and especially high blood pressure is killing. I mean, you cannot go to space if you have something like 16, 20 of blood pressure. No way. Normally it's 80, 120, something like this. But if you have such amount, it's no way. So I can tell you, take care of yourself. Go make some footing, swimming, some training, some fitness. This is very important physically. After, of course, your brain should be also normal. I mean, you should not be someone who is panicking or who is afraid of close environment. By the way, I will give the chance to Scott to speak after about his job of submarine pilot, because he's specialist in this close environment, how he's making when he needs to take some passengers inside his submarine to be sure that all will be okay. In space, it's the same. You need to interact with others in a normal way, not to be someone that is getting mad and crazy for small remarks or something that you don't like. Scott, if you want to speak about your submarine qualification and how you can deal with people that could be inside closed environment.
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, my name's Scott Waters. I'm the pilot of Pisces-6 submarine. We're a deep diving scientific research submarine. We're based in Spain, but we operate all over the world. And occasionally we do take passengers. Most of the time we're just taking scientists, and we also produce film as well. But the submarine goes 2,180 meters deep, so quite a ways down there. And we do require training before somebody comes on the submarine, just like if you're going into space. We train on all the emergency systems and all the emergency procedures, and also make sure that everybody is confident and comfortable with being in an enclosed environment for a very long time at a place that's very far away from home. Yeah, that's just a little brief thing about us. But one of the things is we work with the European Space Agency, and we're in the process of doing some analysis for humans in extreme environments and how the psychology works there, because there's really no other way to simulate it. Even in simulators, you can open a door and you're out of the simulator, where in a real situation, like being in a submarine really deep underwater, it does have a psychological effect. And one of the things that we find it's really interesting is, I know in space, when you go to space and you see the curvature of the Earth, that your perception on Earth changes. Well, it's also the same of when you go super deep in the water, however, your perception changes for a different reason. And that is, you start realizing how much life, like how biodense our world is. And it's a very life-changing thing as well. And there's a reason why a lot of astronauts have a lot of that cross-training back and forth. And one that we're really proud of is Laurel O'Hare. She's from my home state. I'm originally from Kansas, but she was in the International Space Station, and she worked on the submarine Alvin, where I worked as well. And that was her segue into getting into being a NASA astronaut by having all of that experience of working in those kinds of environments.
Thank you very much, Scott, for this nice presentation. Sharon, I have one question for you that is via the written way, but I think you already replied. I'm just reading it anyway. Sharon, seeing our planet from space, did your personal perspective change with this experience? More conscious of awareness of our world fragility? I think you already replied. You said that it was really a big shock to have this overview effect. And of course, you see this fragility, but feel free if you want to add something. Question is from Angel.
No, it does change you. We talked about how emotional and spiritual that journey is. And to kind of talk about what you were talking about your crew, it's very important that you spend time with your crew and that you guys bond, which it sounds like you already are in the process of doing. Because once you're launched into space, your life depends on your crew members. And I know with us, one of the things that I didn't like about preparing to go to space was that we had to be weighed in every weekly. So it was a great diet plan. And then the day of the launch, as you know, having experienced zero-G gravity, was that you have to eat, which always surprised me. You have to have something in your stomach when you go into zero-G. And one of the things that they restrict is coffee and orange juice because it's too acidic. But those are just a little tidbits about what happens when you're preparing to go to space.
It's excellent what you are telling, because I was also aerobatic pilot, and I knew by experience that you should never go on a flight with an empty stomach. It's killing. You are sure that you will take the vomit bag and it's finished. So I was able to make aerobatic flight just after a full lunch. It was all okay. But one time I was making glider and I had empty stomach and I said, never again. It's finished. I need to eat before to make anything like this, zero gravity flight, aerobatic flight, or even to go to space. And this is a big advice I'm giving. And just to go on this point, when I was making my zero-G flight in Star City, we made 10 parabolas, and I decided to do them without taking any medicine. You know, they were offering pills against sickness, space sickness, seasickness. I did not want, I mean, it was not them who were offering, it was my doctor who was offering, not directly from Star City, I correct this point. But I had this opportunity and I said, I don't want. So I flew really absolutely normal. 7, 8 parabolas were okay. But after 8, 9, 10, I was starting to sweat. I was getting dry mouth. I was getting white, after I was getting green, and we reached the last parabola, and I almost did nothing. You know, I was just floating inside the cabin, not doing anything because I was feeling I was not good. And we were 11 tourists on board, and out of 11, 4 were vomiting. 4, but I did not vomit. By chance, it was the end of the 10 parabolas that we stopped, because you know, the instructors are very tricky. They are not just playing with you for nothing, but they make you turn up, down in all positions. So your internal system is not able to understand, because you don't see outside. You cannot understand what's going on because your sight is not matching with your feeling inside. And that was, it's difficult for people who are making zero-G flights. I'm telling it to Klaus, if you can take a pill, take it. It's better for you to make all parabolas safe.
Oh, now that's interesting, Boris, because when I was at Star City, that was one of the differences between the Russians and the US. The US will give you the tablet for motion sickness. And in our training at Russia, we had to do the chair. Did you do the chair where you had the circle for 2 minutes and touch your ear to your shoulder?
I did exactly 1 minute 30, and after they stopped, but I could do more, but they said, no, you are not the astronaut cosmonaut, so you do 1 minute 30, but I have filmed, I have all video of that, yes.
Well, the reason they told us is because the US depends on medication. And if you're in space and you don't have the pills, you need to figure out how to maintain yourself so that you don't get sick.
But you
Oh,
see,
and the person that trained us was the same person that trained Yuri. He was old, but he was still there. The Russians had him and he was training us on that chair exercise.
yeah, because I saw some very old guys in Star City with a making instructor, and they were even flying with me. When I was flying, I had a cosmonaut, Onufrienko. Onufrienko, he was mission commander on the International Space Station, and I did not know. I only understood after the flight that he was a real cosmonaut, was flying with us, the zero-G flight, and he was giving us a diploma at the end. But nobody told us who it was, and he did not say, I'm a cosmonaut, you know. We just felt, okay, he's a crew member. That was really amazing. And I want to say also, thank you, Sharon, because you are the first real astronaut who is joining our webinar. We had the chance to get Mr. Stucky from Virgin Galactic once, but he was flying below Kármán line. But you are the real first one who crossed the Kármán line. So welcome with us. I'm very glad and satisfied that you are the first one.
Yes, thank you. There's a big difference about crossing over the Kármán line, isn't there?
Of course, it's a major difference. That's why I would, for the moment, not pay for Virgin, but only for Blue Origin. Okay, if you have any other questions, you can proceed, or it is also possible to share the screen and to present our little video that was made by Aman. So the audience can watch. It's a 4-minute video of presentation. If you want, Scott, to give me possibility to share the screen, I could launch it somehow.
Okay, should, yeah, it should
Wait,
be open.
okay, let me check if I'm doing like this. So normally you should have my screen. Do you see a cosmonaut now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm launching, should work. Okay, seems not, doesn't matter. I have another option. Normally, I would make like this and this one. Why, yes.
There's no audio.
Okay, that's it. I'm back. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Sharon, I think it was good memories to you, no?
Oh,
Wait,
gosh.
wait.
I can't wait to head out again, and with this time being the emphasis on getting the next generation inspired to go to space, preparing them to live off planet. So please follow us on our next mission as these young kids become space reporters.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we have Scott Waters who needs to go to the airport. He's going to take a flight now. So we will have to finish with our webinar. I would like to thank everybody, and especially Sharon, for being with us on this exceptional day that you were our first astronaut live connected with Swiss Space Travelers SST-6 and SST-3 mission. I will give you the link to get back this video as soon as I will get it from Scott. And I would like to thank also all people who join us, including Shanta. Thank you also for the organization and coordination of this great webinar. If someone wants to add something, it's the last chance. Klaus, you want to say something? Scott?
Sharon, thank you for sharing your experience with us. It was very inspiration for me. Thank you. And we go on with this mission and we do the best to follow you into space. Thank you.
I'm so excited for your launch, and I'll be following you guys.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you so much and have a good time.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Sharon, thank
Shanta.
you for the time. I appreciate it.
Bye, Dorit.
Thank you,
Okay.
Sharon. That was really inspiring.
I love talking about space. I could talk about it all day long. So thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Sharon. It's an honor.
Scott, you're still with us?